Hello S3, we're going to spend today's lesson and most if not all of next week redrafting our essays for Of Mice and Men. The first thing I'd like you to do today is work out what two things we need to do in order to have a successful lesson. What, in other words, are our two pieces of success criteria? First of all, we will something to do with what makes a good critical essay. I'll leave it to you to drag and drop what you think is the correct word, like I'm doing just now. Second of all, we will something to do with whether our own essays have been successful. Once more, just drag and drop whatever word you think fits there. Okay, so you should pause the video just now and head on over to the PowerPoint to do that. Okay folks, now that you've worked out how to determine what our success criteria for today are, you can have a go at this challenge here. I want you to see if you can put the different parts of your critical essay into the right order. That's simply going to be a matter of dragging the correct bubble into the correct box, like I'm doing now. If you think this is a crucial part of an introduction, telling the reader what techniques you will be analysing. Okay, I'll leave it up to you to decide whether that's correct and where the other ones should go to. Once more, just pause the video now and head on over to the PowerPoint. Now folks, we're going to have a look at an example of an introduction together, and we're going to consider whether it's effective. This is going to help us to redraft our own introductions, and that'll be the focus of the rest of today's lesson. Okay? It's important you have your essay planner in front of you, because after I've read the introduction through, I want you to look at it in detail and see if you can find each part of the formula for an introduction in the example. Okay? You might want to do that by highlighting it or numbering it, whichever works for you. Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck is a classic novella set in 1930s California, the time of the Great Depression. Its two main characters, George Milton and Lenny Small, share a dream of transcending these dire economic circumstances. Steinbeck shows how this harsh world could corrupt even kind and gentle souls like George and Lenny's. He recalls their bitter struggle to gain independence and own their own farm. The sympathy Steinbeck encourages us to feel for George in particular gives us a stark impression of how at such a time and in such a place, violence was an everyday reality for working men. Steinbeck uses theme, plot, setting, and narrative to create this sympathy. Okay, S3, just pause the YouTube video just now and head on over to your own PowerPoint and highlight or number in the example where you think the formula can be found. Or if you like, you could always just copy out into your jotter from the video here. Okay. Okay folks, here's where the four parts of the formula for an effective introduction can be found in the example. In orange, first of all here, we can see that the writer is introducing the novel, giving such key details as its title, its author, and the time in which it takes place, as well as its main characters or protagonists. In blue, the writer has outlined what for them is the central message of the novel. In purple, they've said what they're going to be focusing on, and in doing so have linked to the essay question, which of course is about which character we found to be the most sympathetic. In green, we can see the writer has outlined which writing techniques they think Steinbeck used to greatest effect in order to explore the issues that the essay question invites us to consider. Okay, folks, now we've identified the aspects of a successful introduction for a critical essay, and we've looked at an example of an essay written specifically on the subject of our own writing, that is, of mice and men. We can begin to evaluate whether our own introductions have been successful. I want you to read through your introductions in your jotters, and first of all, give yourself a tick or a cross next to each of the parts of the introduction formula. Have you introduced the novel? Tick or cross. Have you detailed what for you the central message of the novel is? Tick or cross once more. Have you set out what you'll be focusing on? And in doing so, have you used the wording of the question? Again, give yourself a tick or a cross. Last but not least, have you detailed what techniques Steinbeck uses? And have you linked to the question in doing so? Remember, you addressed one technique in each of your 4 main paragraphs, so your introduction should set out those 4 techniques. I'm also going to give you the chance to jot down here what you think you could add to improve your writing. Could you go into more detail and depth about the central message of the novel, for example, and really give the reader of your essay a good sense of what for you was the biggest takeaway? Think back to the film as well, and what stayed in your memory the most after having watched it. I've already mentioned techniques. Just to reiterate, do make sure that you've got those 4 techniques corresponding to the 4 techniques in each of your main paragraphs in your introduction. Okay, folks, if you have any questions, as I've said, please do post a comment on Teams, or if you want, you can message me privately. And I hope you're looking forward to the group discussion at the end of today's lesson, when we'll share some ideas and make sure we're all on track. Okay,